Hey guys, in today's video we'll be talking about getting started as a blacksmith and learning how to do it the right way. So when you get started in blacksmithing or bladesmithing, you'll find that there's a huge range of information out there on the internet. You'll find several different forums, you'll find YouTube channels, you'll find Facebook groups, you'll find Wikipedia articles, and all of them will tell you that there is one way to do things. Now, if you're lucky, you'll come across those craftsmen who are honest enough to tell you that there are many ways to skin a cat. But for the majority of the people that I have spoken to, they have a very specific idea of what you should and shouldn't do as a blacksmith. Now, some of these people have long histories of working in the industry, and some of these people have a lot of experience in working steel. But that isn't to say that they are the arbiter of everything that is right and wrong in the world of moving steel. I, for instance, have only been in the industry 6 years and can't proclaim to be a master blacksmith, but I know what works for me. Those things that work for me may not work for you. So one of the issues you run into is trying to work out what information is good and what information is bad. And when I started out in blacksmithing, I had that problem. I was going through all of the different forums, all through the YouTube channels, trying to find what I could identify as good information. And none of it seemed good. And none of it seemed particularly bad either, but it all seemed contradictory. So what I did was I found one or two channels that suited my style, one or two forums that kind of supported my style of smithing, and followed that. And that's one way to glean good information from the vast majority of the information out there. But what I didn't do was look a little deeper. Now, when you get into blacksmithing, you're going to meet a lot of people who may have years and years and years of experience, 20 years, 30 years of experience in blacksmithing. And they will tell you that you can only do things a certain way. You can only use certain kinds of hammers. You can only use a certain kind of anvil. You can only use certain kinds of steel to make your piece. And you might think, oh, that's a little bit restricting. And then, you want to kind of give up because it's like, oh, I don't really feel I have the energy to put in to use those specific techniques. But the reality is that there is not only one way to do blacksmithing. And one of my least favorite attributes of the blacksmithing community as it stands is that we are all artisans, and artisans are very opinionated. And I run into people all the time who will tell me, you can't use unknown steels, you can't only use power tools and stuff like that, you can't only use hammer and anvil. And so many of them contradict, and I say, well, why? If it works, it works. You can't argue that something that works doesn't. Now, it may be less efficient, and you may have someone who tries to teach you a more efficient way of working. But if the way you're working works for you and is more comfortable for you, use it. So when I got started, one of the first things I did was thought to myself, I'm not worthy of talking to these people, these mastersmiths, these people who are so experienced that they would look at me and say, what an idiot. He knows nothing about blacksmithing. And so I limited myself to only learning from online sources, from YouTube, from very anonymous sources where I could, remain in the background and kind of learn. And I figured that one day I'd get good enough that I could actually talk to these people. But the truth is that the majority of us, and I say us being that I am one of these people who is willing to share my knowledge, the majority of the blacksmiths out there are willing to talk to you. Now, you might find one or two that you will approach and they'll say, bugger off. But in that case, you bugger off, you find someone else. I have spoken to so many journeyman smiths in the ABS, master blacksmiths from the old railway days, and all of them are willing to share their knowledge, and some of it is really good knowledge. And you don't have to follow every single word they say. But it's really important to get out there and ask the questions. Because if you don't ask questions, you're not getting answers. And I know from experience that researching those questions can be really painful, so you don't spend the time to research that you should to find the answer. But if you find someone to ask, then you've got the answer in front of you. So For myself, I actually have my email address down in the description below. If you have any questions on blacksmithing or bladesmithing, you can feel free to email me and I will get back to you. So, there are also other bladesmiths and blacksmiths out there who are more than willing to talk to you. And the majority of the ABS guys, the American Bladesmith Society staff, will talk to you. The journeymen, the mastersmiths, they will answer your questions if you have any. The other thing is that I didn't pursue local talent. I didn't pursue local teaching. Most areas of the world have a local blacksmith somewhere. Now, even if that blacksmith isn't willing to take on an apprentice, because most of us aren't, and even if they don't offer classes, you may be able to go to their shop and have a look. Watch them work for a little while. If you don't ask, you don't receive. Now, I've had several bladesmiths around me for 5 years, and 2 of them offered classes for quite a while. I never approached them because I figured, oh, I don't want to bother them. But in reality, we as craftsmen should want to expand our craft, and so therefore teaching people is part of our job. That's why I started my classes. So go out there, research where you can find other craftsmen, other blacksmiths, bladesmiths in your area, or even, a couple hours drive away, and go there and meet them and watch the hammer moving steel. You'll find out so much more being in the presence of the work rather than watching it on YouTube. And the other thing is that you haven't got to follow what they teach you. Even though you watch them move the steel, they make something beautiful. When you come to finally swing your hammer, you will find what works for you. So, to help with the research part of this, I'm actually going to link a few forums down below and a couple of channels that I follow that really have helped me in showing me a lot of the skills that I now use in everyday blacksmithing and everyday bladesmithing. But my greatest advice when you're getting started is do not believe that there is a right way to blacksmith. The only right way to blacksmith is to hit hot stuff with a hammer. And again, I would like to encourage you to approach me, approach the other blacksmiths in your area about information regarding blacksmithing, because it's invaluable. Anyway guys, with that being said, this is the first in a series. I will be making 4 more videos on tips for the beginner blacksmith, trying to encourage you guys to get out there and get started. Now, this channel is obviously Patreon funded as well. I have 4 wonderful Patreons, 3 of which I can name: Nathan, Andy, and Kyan. Thank you all. One of them wishes to remain anonymous, but these guys keep me going. If you want to support me on Patreon, my Patreon link is down in the description below. Or if you don't want to subscribe to me for a monthly basis, you can provide a single-time donation through Coffee. The link is down below. It's in kind of multiples of $3 donations, so whatever you feel like donating, that is always helpful. Keeps gas in the tank and the hammer in my hand. Also, if you like what I do on this channel, if you want to see more from me, you can hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell notification icon to get notified of when I upload a new video. I do a weekly video every Wednesday, and then I upload a live stream every Saturday. So make sure you come by and check that out, say hi. Also, if you want to hit that thumbs up button, it does help me get the word out there and hopefully share this with a few new blacksmiths who might want to learn about how to blacksmith. Anyway guys, until next time, see you then. A huge thanks to Alex from Valhalla Ironworks for my new intro video. Go check out his Instagram and YouTube links in the description below.